Hi, I'm Becky Moeller, and I'm a mindfulness teacher here in Utah. And I want to talk to you today for a moment about the Charlie Kirk shooting that occurred at Utah Valley University yesterday. I taught at Utah Valley University for almost 15 years, and it has been so surreal to see our little backyard become the focus of global attention. One of my best friends works on campus. She was stuck there yesterday in just absolute chaos as law enforcement was trying to figure out what was going on. Students were running everywhere. There was just so much fear and chaos. And what I want to talk about for just a moment is, how do we move through this moment? How do we respond to this moment? And as a mindfulness teacher, obviously, one of my first responses or tools that I want to offer is trauma-informed care, and recognize that what happened yesterday at UVU is a big T trauma, which means that there is an embodied impact on people who experienced this event in person, but it also can become a big T trauma for those of us who are experiencing this event collectively, because it hits at our core sense of safety in the way we're moving through the world, in the world that we're engaging with in our daily lives. It creates a fundamental sense of being unsafe. So trauma-informed care, first, I want you to just recognize if you're in that space of feeling in a physiological way that you're holding this stress response in your body. First, I want you to give yourself full permission to feel whatever it is that you feel. Whatever your emotions are, it's okay to be feeling them. You don't have to be fine. You don't have to justify or prove that you deserve to not be doing well. Just allow yourself to respond to this event in whatever way is coming naturally, and make space for it with compassion. This type of a traumatic experience will affect everyone in a different way. Second, self-care. And I don't mean a spa treatment or a manicure. I mean taking time to tend to your mind, body, spirit, to what's present in your mind, body, spirit in this moment. Because when you experience something traumatic like this, it creates a stress response in your body, and it's going to need some space to be able to respond to that in a way that will serve you and help you move through it in a healthy way. I don't know if you've ever seen like a little rabbit that was getting chased by a dog or a fox or something. And if you'll watch a rabbit after it's been chased, once it's made its way to safety, it will pause and the rabbit will just shake. It will shake. And that shaking is an evolutionary response that allows the rabbit to release the stress response, that trauma response that was released into its body while it was in danger. So I want you to recognize that you're just like that rabbit. So self-care that will help you move your body and discharge that trauma response is really important in moments like this. So maybe find a way to go for a walk, stand up and shake out your hands with a big exhale. So I want you to use your breath and your body. Shake out your hands, exhale. When you feel like everything feels like tight in there. Placing a hand on your heart and just taking that deep breath when you feel emotionally flooded. Feeling the pressure or weight of that hand on your heart can really help ground you. Finding a quiet place like your closet or go to your backyard and find a way to release, cry, yell, scream, in some way discharge the emotion that it's feeling stuck and has been triggered into your body. These are all different ways that you can practice some self-care. You also might just need to reduce the amount of activity you're doing in the next couple of days, or as long as it takes, to create just space to be with these emotions. Being in that trauma space is going to keep you in that more limbic part of your brain, which is not the productive, linear, task-oriented part of your brain. So just allow space to be in this limbic part and allow it to move through, to nurture it, to ground, to soften, and give yourself permission to not be the most productive version of yourself over the next few days. And then third, I want you to reach out for help. And I know that when you're struggling, it's so counterintuitive to reach out. You just want to hide, typically. I'm the same way. When I'm really struggling, you just want to hide. But there is so much benefit. It's kind of an unduplicatable benefit that we get by reaching out to other people when we're really in that distressed state. There's lots of research to back that benefit of human connection and social support. But even beyond what we can see in research, as a mindfulness teacher, I would also say there is a spiritual dimension of connecting to other people, to safe people, that allows us to ground and recenter and downregulate in a way that is unduplicatable and that we can't even fully understand with our logical minds. So this is your toolkit. If you have been affected by this violence or any violence, it's interesting that all of this is happening also on the anniversary of 9/11. And I think it's just this time for us collectively to reflect on where we are as a society and what I hope we can move forward with and take from this experience. And what I want to say as a mindfulness teacher is that the opposite political agenda is not the enemy. The person who sees things different than I see things is not the enemy. The enemy is this fundamental part of our human nature that is so afraid of being threatened and having my own identity threatened that I almost automatically make an enemy and an other out of anyone who threatens my own sense of self and my own sense of being right and justified. That is the enemy. And in the mindfulness that I teach and that I work with my students, that can be called the ego, this core small self that's always seeking to self-protect, that's always looking to be validated, to be right, to push other people down so it can feel safe and superior. That is the enemy. And we can't heal anything collectively in this world that we're living in until we heal individually that part of ourselves that is still showing up that way, that is still incapable of seeing another person as a human being because they're a threat to my own sense of self, my own I know best attitude. So my prayer, my hope for all of us is that we can use this moment to collectively grieve and really face the loss and the cost of this way, this very egoic way we're operating, and that we can allow ourselves to feel the limitations of our own humanity and allow that humility and humiliation to compel us to reach for that something higher that is within us and that is all around us, that something higher that has the ability to hold all things in love and wisdom and compassion in a way that will expand all of us to be more deeply alive, more deeply awake, more deeply human. And we cannot do that for the world at large until we do that in ourselves. This is a call for that kind of personal accountability, for the way we will respond to this moment publicly, and even in the walls of our own homes, and even in the walls of our own hearts. The narratives we will allow ourselves to follow. In this moment, are we going to reach for our need to justify and prove ourselves as being right and wronged? Or are we going to surrender and reach for something higher to show us a better way? My blessings and love and shared grief and humanity for all who have been affected by the events of the past 2 days. May you be supported. May you be at peace. Namaste.